welcome back to my channel. It is Amanda. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome and subscribe, stick around, let me know what kind of videos you like to see. My shirt says dog person, not just dog, but you know, it's cut off. Today I'm going to be talking about the palettes that I used in August and the palettes that I'm going to be using for September. So if you are new, this year I've been trying to rotate through my palette collection to really get in there and use them. I love eyeshadow palettes. They're my favorite makeup product and I have a lot of them. It's very easy to use the same palettes all of the time. So every month I'm choosing 10 or 11 palettes to rotate through my collection. So last month I chose all drugstore palettes or drugstore priced palettes. This month I'll tell you what I'm using in a little bit, but we're going to talk about the palettes that I used last month. I am decluttering quite a few of them, so I'm going to talk about why. Let's get into it. I had one from Collab. This is the makeup line that's available at Sally Beauty Supply, and this is the Palette Pro eyeshadow palette in After Hours. I love this palette. I admittedly don't use the silvers very often, but the greens and this gray shade, like kind of gunmetal shade, I love these. This green and this brown is a favorite for a very simple but still dark eyeshadow look for me because that is what I like. Today I'm wearing something a little more neutral. It's okay, but you know, I like color. I really like this formula. I will be keeping this palette. I really enjoy it. I knew that I liked it, but I know I have a lot of palettes that I like and really enjoy the formula of, but I don't always get to use them as often because I get stuck in a rut, you know? So we're keeping that guy. I have two from e.l.f. Cosmetics, the e.l.f. and Chipotle eyeshadow palette, which is so funny to me, which looks like this. I really enjoyed this palette. I used this, let's see, 5 times last month, which is a lot. I was finding myself reaching for this on days where I wanted something very fast. So I might have just used, you know, this shade all over the lid, just blend it out or something like that. That's kind of my go-to if I don't have a lot of time. I'll just blend one shade all over my eyelid and call it good. I love the greens, of course. The only shade that I didn't love in this was this shade right here. It felt a little dry. Not a huge issue, but this one is actually really pretty. It almost has a duochrome shift in it. There's like a green, purple, almost red-brown effect in it. It's very pretty, and it doesn't really look like that at all in the pan. So I will also be keeping this palette. I enjoy the formula and the quality. And then the other e.l.f. palette is the e.l.f. and J. Kissa To The Rescue palette. I only used this one once, so I am still going to be keeping it. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling brights last month, and this is all bright shades. I love the colors. You know, it's all matte, so we have some deeper saturated mattes, and then these are all shimmery or kind of metallic shades. So I didn't get to use this one as much as I wanted. Well, I wasn't wanting to use this one as much last month for whatever reason. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to keep it. I just didn't use it as often, and I don't really know why. It's because I only wanted to wear like purple eyeshadow last month. I wore so much purple eyeshadow, it's not even fun. Alright, next we have the Flower Beauty Jungle Lights palette. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is a companion palette. These are all metallic, creamy, shimmery shades. I saw that they just released I think it's called Desert Lights. It's more neutrals. That's not my vibe, but I love this formula. The shades are absolutely beautiful. So if you like neutrals, I mean, look at how metallic and liquidy these look, but they're still a pressed, creamy shadow. These are absolutely beautiful. So if you like that type of formula, but you want more neutral shades, I would assume it's the same formula as the Jungle Lights. I would recommend picking up the, I think it's called Desert Lights. The day I'm filming this, it went live on the Ulta site. These shades are just so nice. Did remember to take some pictures as I was wearing these palettes, so I will, if I was wearing the palette, I will be inserting pictures of it. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. Alright, now we're getting to the Kara Beauty palettes. I'm going to be decoloring all of these. The only one that I actually used was the Poetry of Love palette, and it's not that this was a bad palette, it just didn't really wow me. For someone who has as much makeup as I own, something needs to be kind of awesome for it to take up space in my collection, and this was fine, but it wasn't awesome. So I'm going to pass this on, and then I thought, you know, I kind of feel like these are going to be similar, and I've never used these, so I'll just pass these on as well. And the same with the Life of the Fiesta palette. I think I've swatched, I don't even think I've swatched any of these. Oh, maybe I've swatched this shade. But otherwise it's untouched. I'm going to just pass it on. So that's 4 palettes that I know that I'm not going to reach for over and over because I wasn't head over heels in love with them. So I'm going to pass them on. And then we have 2 from Makeup Revolution, the Forever Flawless Utopia and the Birds of Paradise palette. And I've always said that the Forever Flawless formula is my favorite for Makeup Revolution. And so when I went to use this palette, because I hadn't used it in a while, I was pretty underwhelmed. So I don't know if this has just gotten old or if my tastes have changed. That happens. I will say I was also using this palette that I didn't initially put on my list, but this was new and I wanted to use it, and this palette is so amazing that it's almost not fair to put this next to it, but I was much preferring to reach for this over the Makeup Revolution. So I'm also going to be passing this on. And then when it came to Birds of Paradise, this is another that I thought, you know, I don't need this palette. I've never used it. So I'm going to pass this one on. And I know I just said how amazing this palette is, but this is the BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris palette. I could not stop using this. I had to make myself stop using this palette. I used it like 10 times last month. It's beautiful. The purples are fantastic. This Sen, I don't know, is freaking amazing. The Louvre color is beautiful. City of Light. This palette is fantastic. It's so blendable and the colors build on top of each other really well. And the shimmers are shimmery. I just love this palette so much. The way that I have all of my palettes organized on my computer is I do have them documented and they're numbered. Each month I've been moving the palettes up if they've been used, and that way all of the bottom row, I guess, of palettes are palettes that I haven't used this year, or, you know, haven't been put into this project this year. So I couldn't really choose, and so I just put them in a random generator. Because I own so many ColourPop palettes, the odds of ColourPop palettes getting chosen was very high. So it's basically 9 ColourPop palettes and then 2 other palettes. Let's talk about the 2 that aren't ColourPop, and then we'll get into the rest. So first we have the Dominique Cosmetics Lemonade palette. This was sent to me by my friend Heather. I'm curious to try this. Of course, this color is calling my name. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love an icy purple. But then there are also some warmer shades in here. I'm curious to play with this. Then the other one that was generated is an old school Milani palette, and this is the Bold Obsessions palette. This is, I mean, I feel like we can mostly all agree that this is the best Milani eyeshadow formula. I don't think they make this anymore, I'm not sure why, but this is a great, easy, don't really have to think about what you're doing everyday palette, I think. Then we have a bunch of ColourPop palettes. I'll do them in the order that they were chosen. The first one that was chosen was Big Poppy. This is their all matte, kind of rusty palette. I think this is the perfect time of year for these tones. you know, everyone's all fall, fall, fall. I'm like, let's hold on to summer for a little bit, but okay. But I do like these colors on my eyes anyway, and I like the ColourPop mattes. I have used this palette, but not nearly as often as I should, so I'm glad that it's an all matte palette because I feel like that will also really work. That will work really well with pairing it with other palettes. I'm trying to use multiples together, which is really hard for me for some reason. I just like to use one palette, but I'm trying. The next one that was chosen is this little guy that, oh my gosh, I don't even know when this came out. Makeup Your Mind, and it's 6 metallics. They're really beautiful. I don't know that I've actually ever used this on my eyes. I've swatched it a bunch of times. I don't know that I've ever actually used it on my eyes. Next is one of the monochromatics. This is Lilac You a Lot. I love purples. As I said, I just make myself stop wearing purples last month because I was just wearing purple. I was just really in the purple zone. I love purple. I love how it looks on my eye color. I just like purple. Next we have Just My Luck, and I haven't used this palette in so long, but oh my gosh, how beautiful is this? If I'm not wearing purple, I'm wearing green. Those are my jam. That should be my challenge one month, to not wear any purple or green. Oh my gosh, that sounds awful. No, oh yeah, so pretty. The next one that was chosen is Fade into Hue, and I'm pretty glad that this was chosen because, as I mentioned, I'm not done with summer and brights. And I have used this palette, but mainly the purples. I haven't used this palette enough, and that's a shame. It's a crying shame. There are some pressed glitters in here, so I won't be using those. And then right after that, So Jaded was generated, and I love this palette. I don't think this palette is still available, which is unfortunate because I think this is such a great all-in-one palette. There's neutrals, there's brights, there's mattes, there's shimmers, there are 2 pressed glitters. There's a Super Shock. Oops, that's not it. There's a Super Shock. This is the Super Shock. I think that this is just a great palette. It has purples, it has greens, it has neutrals, it has reds, it has oranges. It's just a great palette. The next one that was chosen is Flutterby. Look at all the purples. Mauvey purples. Come on. Come on. And then we have Boudoir Noir. This is the goldish neutral version. This was from their holiday collection, I believe. The other one was called Menage a Moi, and I absolutely loved that palette. And I was using that one so much that I sort of neglected this one because I bought them at the same time. So I haven't given this one any love, like at all. But I mean, we have a matte olive green here. Oh yes. Oh yes. And then the very last palette is the Aura Out palette. This is from their tie-dye collection. Love it. This one is a pressed, or a Super Shock in it, this Soul Sister color. It's like minty color. It's really pretty. The palettes that I will be using in, I almost said July. Nope, September. Because we're in September now. Let me know what palettes you guys are using. I have mentioned this before, but I'm trying to post my makeup looks on Instagram Reels, and then also taking, like I said, pictures to at least insert in these videos. So check Instagram for looks. Pretty straightforward and almost always the same, just using different shades. Because that's how I roll. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you in my next video.